Hey, what's up guys? Ophelia coming at you with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile. And we're doing one of the most requested decks you guys have asked for, my Dark Magician deck. So if you guys want to check out my channel, like and subscribe for more, that would be really cool. And so let's get into the profile. So we're going to start off with 3 copies of Dark Magician. So Dark Magician is the heart and soul of the deck. Everything basically revolves around getting this guy out, so you want to see this guy as quickly as possible. Next up, we've got 2 copies of Magician of Dark Illusion. So this guy can be special summoned from your hand during your opponent's turn if you activate a spell trap card in their turn. As well as that, once while he's on the field, if you use a spell trap card while he's out, you can summon Dark Magician from your graveyard. He's also a level 7 Dark Spellcaster, so you can overlay him with your Dark Magician. Next up, we got 1 copy of Dark Magician Girl, my favorite card in the entire game. You don't have to run her. She is potentially quite bricky in the deck, but I still like playing her at 1, so you could easily swap her out from the hand trap if you really wanted to. Next up, we got 3 copies of Apprentice Illusion of Magician. Hands down, the best effect monster in your entire deck. You can special summon her by discarding 1 card from your hand, and when she's normal or special summoned, you can add a Dark Magician straight from your deck to your hand. So she's really good. As well as that, while she's on the field or in your hand, if a Dark Spellcaster type monster other than her battles, you can ditch her or tribute her from your hand to field, depending where she is, to pump that Dark Spellcaster 2k attack until the end of the damage step. So she is really handy. She gets your Dark Magician up to 4,500. So beat over a lot of most things. Next up, we got 3 copies of Magician's Rod, our pseudo Stratos for the deck. When he's normal summoned, we can search our deck for a Dark Magician spell or trap card. So basically a spell or trap card that has Dark Magician in its card text. Unfortunately, we can't search Eye of Timaeus, and it's a weird ruling. We'll get to that when we get to Eye of Timaeus. But also, if we activate a spell or trap card in our opponent's turn while this guy's chilling in our grave, we contribute a spellcast summon so we control and add this guy back to our hand. So you really want to see that guy. You really want your opening normal summon to be this guy. Next up, we got 1 Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. When he's normal or flip summon, let's be really honest here, we're not going to set this guy. When this guy's normal summoned, we can search our deck for any Spellbook card and add it to our hand. We got 1 copy of Night's End Sorcerer. He is a level 2 Dark Spellcaster tuner, and when he's special summoned, we can target up to 2 cards in our opponent's graveyard and banish them. You can side deck this guy if you want, but a lot of decks I go up against do use their graveyard quite a lot, and I really want to disrupt that as quickly as possible. We got the 1 copy of the Max C, just for draw power, obviously. This deck does suffer a bit from draw power, but we do have the Spellbook engine, obviously, but Max C always does help. Then we got 3 copies of Dark Magical Circle. Dark Magical Circle is your most important spell card in the deck, and it's the one that people are actually afraid of. When it's activated, we can look, not excavate, look up to the top 3 cards of our deck and add one of them that lists Dark Magician or is Dark Magician himself to our hand. Unfortunately, not Eye of Timaeus, same reasons as I'm about to go over. As well as that, once put during either player's turn, when Dark Magician is normal or special summoned to your field, you can target 1 card on your opponent's field and banish it. So really cool cards. You can disrupt all your opponent's plays with that card. People are scared of that card and they want to get rid of it as quickly as possible. So you need to be ready to protect it and not activate it at the wrong time, because you can only play 1 of them per turn. Next up, we have your second most important spell card in the entire deck, Eye of Timaeus. So because this says target 1 Dark Magician monster, rather than just target 1 Dark Magician, because it does work for Dark Magician Girl as well, it is not actually searchable. This card needs to be searchable for this deck to become a lot more consistent. It basically activates as Polymerization and the other fusion material monster you need when you're playing a Dark Magician fusion monster. If you can obviously only play 1 Eye of Timaeus per turn, but if your opponent has anything that stops you targeting your monsters, you need to deal with that first, because this does target your Dark Magician monster. We play 1 copy of the Dark Magic Inheritance, so it's a quick play spell, banish 2 spells from our graveyard, search for Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl spell or trap card, so we can search for Dark Burning Attack if we choose to play it through that. Next up, we've got 1 copy of Illusion Magic. We contribute a Dark Spellcast type monster we control to add up to 2 copies of Dark Magician from our deck or our graveyard to our hand. So it is a quick play, so if they're going to do something in their turn or in response to a summoning rod, we contribute our rod and get 2 Dark Magicians. Just an example there. So then we've got 2 copies of Dark Magic Attack, basically Harpy's Feather Duster, and it's a lot more searchable, and actually at this point this video has been released, not banned Harpy's Feather Duster. So if we can control Dark Magician, destroy all spell and trap cards the opponent controls. So really cool card. We do have to have Dark Magician on the field, but it doesn't target destroy like MST, Twin Twister, and Cyclone. So really, I prefer it much more than running a bunch of other back row removal. Of course, I still do run some back row removal, but most of the time just rely on that. Next up, we got 2 copies of the Spellbook of Secrets. Pretty straightforward. We can only play 1 per turn, but allows us to search our deck for any Spellbook card apart from Secrets. So we're normally going to summon Blue Boy, use the Blue Boy to search secrets, and use secrets to search our Spellbook of Knowledge. So this is the best draw card that Spellcaster decks have, as it's super generic. We tribute the Spellcaster type monster, or we discard Spellbook card to draw 2 cards. And using secrets and knowledge in the same turn gets us 2 spell cards in our graveyard, so we can just use our inheritance like that. Next up, we got 2 copies of Pod of Duality. Super straightforward what this card does. It does lock out our special summon for the turn, so we've got to be really careful when we use this, but it is a way for us to get Timaeus to our hand a lot faster. Then we got 1 copy of Cosmic Cyclone in our main deck. Next up, we got 3 copies of my favorite trap card in the entire deck, which is Magician Navigation. So we special summon Dark Magician from our hand, and then we get to special summon another Dark Spellcaster type monster from our deck, so long as it's level 7 or lower. And it does have a graveyard effect as well, whereas we can banish it, except for the turn it was sent there, to negate the effects of a face-out spell or trap card our opponent controls. So that effect does save you a lot. And we can use this card to summon our Knights and Sorcerer and banish 2 if we really want to. Next up, we got 3 copies of the most important trap card in your deck, which is Eternal Soul. So Eternal Soul has 2 effects. Once during either player's turn, because it's obviously a continuous trap, you can either special summon Dark Magician from your hand or your graveyard, or search your deck for a Dark Magic attack or Thousand Knives. So Thousand Knives we don't play because it's basically a worse version of Dark Magical Circle, which if you control Dark Magician, you can target destroy 1 monster your opponent controls. As well as that, Eternal Soul protects all your Dark Magicians from being affected by your opponent's card effects, which is already amazing. The only downside is if this card leaves the field, you lose all your monsters. There is a ruling apparently where if this goes back to your deck, your monsters don't get destroyed. So I might be wrong about that. If I am, please let me know in the comments below. I will make sure I'm playing Eternal Soul right, because it is a bit of a loophole that I'm not 100% familiar with. Then we finally got 1 copy of Dark. Next up, we got Dark Renewal. Sorry, we got 3 other traps left. When your opponent normal or special summons a monster, we can target one of those and one of our monsters and send them to the graveyard, and then special summon the Dark Spellcaster from our deck or graveyard. So really, really cool cards. Finally, we've got 1 Mourning and 2 Strike. Pretty straightforward there. Moving on to our extra deck. Because we're using Eye of Timaeus and it can summon basically any Dark Magician Fusion monster, we're going to play all the relevant ones. I'm not playing Dark Flare Knight. If I had space in my extra deck, I would play one just for memes, but unfortunately I don't. So we've got Dark Paladin is our very first one, and this guy is actually amazing. So believe it or not, you can play this guy through the Eye of Timaeus, and why wouldn't you? He gets 500 extra attack and defense points for every dragon on either player's field. Just attack, 500 attack for every dragon monster on the field and in either player's graveyard. And here's the reason why you would play him. If your opponent activates a spell card, you can discard 1 card from your hand to negate the activation of that spell and destroy it. And that effect is not once per turn. It's as long as you've got spell cards in your hand. So really, really cool guy. Next up, we got 1 copy of Dark Magician Girl Dragon Knight. She's not super relevant anymore, but we are playing Dark Magician Girl in our deck, so we're going to play her anyway. She is a level 7, so we can use her to overlay. We can discard a card from our hand to target one face-up card on your opponent's field and destroy it. That is in either player's turn, and I believe it is a quick effect as well. This one is the original one, so I think it gets a right to being a quick effect, so really, really handy. Might be wrong there, unfortunately. Then we've got 2 copies of Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. This is the most important fusion target you have in your deck. Unlike your other Dark Magician fusions, it can be special summoned without fusion summoning from your graveyard, as it counts as Dark Magician on the field and in your graveyard. So Soul is going to protect this guy on the field, and summoning this guy is going to trigger your circle as well. And while he's face up on the field, your opponent can't target or destroy your spells and trap cards with card effects. So really, really cool combo. If this guy protects your Soul, and your Soul protects this guy. If this guy gets summoned in your main zone, they deal with it, you just Soul him back to your main zone from your extra zone. So really, really cool. Next up, we play 1 copy of the Amulet Dragon. So Amulet Dragon is another card that is actually surprisingly really relevant. When he is summoned, you can target minimum 1, as many spell cards as you want in either player's graveyards and banish them. He gets an extra 100 attack points for every card you've banished by this effect. And if he's destroyed by and sent to the graveyard, you get a free Dark Spellcaster from your graveyard. So really, really relevant card. Can actually win you games. Can beat over boss monsters that you can't target or remove. Next up, we've got 1 copy of Magic Magician Girl. We're not really going to use her effect. She's mostly just there because she is a Dark Magician Girl related card. And we can use her because she's a rank 6 to go into our Eben. So if you're not playing OCG cards, you can just play 2 copies of Naruto. If you are willing to play 1 OCG card, you play 1 Naruto, 1 Magi. Naruto is actually the better monster, to be honest. You can detach one overlay unit, and when your opponent activates a spell trap card once per turn, you do that and you negate and destroy the card. Because they're both rank 6 XYZ monsters, you can rebuild the overlay network and go into your Ebon Illusion Magician. Once per turn, you can detach one overlay special summon normal spellcaster type monster from your hand or deck, so basically summon Dark Magician from your hand or deck. And whenever a normal spellcaster type monster declares an attack, you can target one card on your opponent's field and banish it. Of course, that's also once per turn, but a really, really cool card. And we've got one copy of the other Dark Magician Fusion, XYZ, so Ebon High Magician. So once per turn, you can detach one overlay unit from this guy to activate a quick play spell or trap card in your hand during your opponent's turn. So really, really relevant. Was a lot more relevant back when we had a much more easy access to swarm the board with XZs. But if he's destroyed by an opponent's card back into the graveyard, we can special summon a Dark Spellcaster type monster from our hand, deck, or graveyard, then target one card on the field and destroy it. Like all rank 7 decks, we do play one Big Eye and one Red Eyes. Big Eye is also a Dark Spellcaster, so funny that. And we play one copy of Grand Pulse. Finally, we do play our Synchro target is our Azure Eyes Silver Dragon. It is a level 9 Synchro, so we can go into it with our Knights and Sorcerer and our Dark Magician, and he lets us special summon a normal monster from our graveyard for free every standby phase. Moving on to our extra deck now. So my little janky extra deck. We got one Kaiju, whatever Kaiju your heart desires to play. Gundala is the only one I have, so. You're mostly just going to either beat over it or banish it, so it doesn't really matter too much. Depending on who up I go against, I do side in a Winter Cherries and an ABC because I face a lot of ABC decks. So up to you guys if you really want to side ABC or the Winter Cherries. Then I play one copy of Palladium Oracle Mahad. Now this guy is actually awesome. If you draw this guy, you get to special summon him straight away. And if he battles a dark monster during the damage step, his attack doubles. So there's a lot of boss monsters out there that are dark, which are unaffected or cannot be targeted. So this guy just beats over them straight away. If he's destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you get a free Dark Magician. So if you draw this guy and summon him and they strike or warning him or anything else that gets rid of him, you get a free Dark Magician. So this guy's only downside is having him in your starting hand, because then he's just bricked there and he's going to stay there the whole game. Although we do have Apprentice now, so Apprentice can ditch this guy if you do choose to main him. I wouldn't main him. Then we've got more Dark Magician cards. We have another copy of Inheritance, just in case we need to mill faster. One copy of Expanded, believe it or not. So Expanded has 3 effects. Depending on the number of Dark Magician or Dark Magician girls we have on our field and in our graveyards, we get to activate these effects in sequence. If we have one or more, or one Dark Spellcaster type monster we control gains an additional 1k attack till the end of the turn. It is a quick play, obviously, so we can play it in our opponent's turn. 2 or more our spell cards cannot be negated, or our opponent cannot destroy them and for that turn, and 3 or more Dark Spellcaster monsters we control are unaffected by opponent's card effects until end of turn. So kind of like Soul, but for all our monsters. Then we play my favorite spell card in the game, which is Dark Burning Magic. If we control specifically Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, we can destroy all cards on our opponent's field. It's a quick play as well. This is more of like very much an anime card, so if I feel like having a bit of fun with my opponent, I'll slide this card in. And it is actually viable to play. It's not as hard to play as you might think. We got one copy of Twin Twister, one copy of Cosmic Cyclone, 2 Heavy Storm Duster, very straightforward sides in case you really need to get rid of back row. And then we play, finally, one copy of Anti-Spell Fragrance, because there's a lot of decks out there that suffer from Anti-Spell a lot more than yours will. So anyway, guys, that's my profile. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you soon for my next video.